Hey everyone, good afternoon. Well, as you all can see, I have a new hairstyle for today. This whole quarantine, it was driving me crazy. I couldn't have a proper, hairdresser. So I just clipped it off and, it will grow back eventually. Today live is with Jan Symons. Jan Symons has been working with several top riders, helping the flat work, all these kind of things. I think he helps Marlon, the Philipparts, I think Carol Cox, Peter Clement, and several others. So we'll just wait a little bit longer until he can actually be with us, and he will tell us all about that. Other than that, tomorrow we'll have a live with Paulo. That's a Brazilian guy that jumped the Olympics, jumped the Pan Ams. Fantastic guy. And eventually in this week, we'll have the live with, I forgot his name, but I will be back really soon. I had it written down. What's his name? François Mathieu, that's the one. Yeah, sorry. Which should be really good. I think that's it. He's a trainer from several riders. We'll just see where he is and if we can get him to join us in a short amount of time. What else? I don't really know. I'm not really sure who we're going to have this week, other than those two that I've just spoken. But I will keep you guys posted. To be honest, in the long run, my idea is to have one, maybe two lives a week, because that's something that I can actually keep once the whole quarantine is over and we're back at the shows. So I believe we'll keep having one at least a week, maybe two, and not 5, 6, 7, or 10, because it goes a little bit insane. We all get a little bit bored. So it's just the way it is. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jan is gonna go in through André Freire's account. So I believe it will. I can ask him to join us, and we'll see if it goes properly. I'm not sure if André Freire is the right one. I'm gonna be joining and ask him to join us, and then if it's not him. No, it seems like it's not him. André, let me know who is Tour Stables. Is he on already? Tour Stables. Yep, Tour Stables has just joined in. Very good. Thank you, André. Just waiting for him to accept the invitation and connect. Let's go in. Yep. There we go.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, finally.
And thank you to invite me in your program.
It's all right. I'm sorry for all this miscommunication during the week. It was a funny week over here.
I can understand, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, we made it. So, thank you very much for accepting the invitation. It's a pleasure to have you with me. Before we start, I want you to just tell briefly a little bit about yourself and who you're working with, because I don't know all the names and the big names that you helped with. I know that you have Marlon. You've been helping André. You work with the Philipparts for Ludo.
Yes. I'm now finishing that. We have a little break with the Philipparts now at this moment. But like Peter de Vos, I also train. Tilleman Stables, I also train. And then, many others. I'm a little bit, how do I say, when I forget people, I'm very sorry that I forget. So, but I have a long list.
No problem.
I have a long list of many riders of every level. So also 5 stars, amateur people, everybody who wants to help.
Very good. Well, before we get into this whole, actually, how do you work and knowledge about that, I want to know a little bit about you, about your story. So I believe the first question, which is pretty basic, is where, how, and why did you start riding horses?
Oof, it's a long time ago, huh? I started about when I was 6 years old. So by occasion, by my mother was riding horses just for fun. And then I started to ride a little bit. And then my father saw that I had some talent. And then I really started really early with shows, with dressage, especially dressage. At 7, 8 years, I was already competing with the adults, always with big normal horses, no ponies. So, and then, it started getting more serious every time, more and more. National shows, international shows, and it started to get into my life. So,
what was there in the dressage that made your eyes pop and that you actually wanted to do dressage and not eventing, show jumping, or something else?
It's the art of schooling a horse in the most natural way. It's the relationship with the horse you have, the love for the horse you have. It's the beauty of it all. So in harmony, to school a horse like one of the best friends in your life, you know, to make it as good as possible, to make it better, improving the natural movements. And in those days, I speak about a long time ago, 40 years, 50 years already.
Yep.
So I started really early on a high level. I was 15, 16 years when I was already competing with seniors. In those days, it was not so normal, but you know. But I was. It was always my life. I wanted to get the best as possible for training horses, to school horses, to keep the knowledge of the former generations who put everything on track, the respect for everything and those things. It was fantastic. From the start, I knew when I was 7, 8 years, I knew it would be my life.
Fantastic. It must be a great feeling to know what's going to be your life like in the long run. We are all trying to find our path when you're like 20, 25, 26, 30, you know. It keeps on changing. Have you ever showed the horses jumping?
No, just at training courses.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was always interested in jumping anyway, you know, even when I was on an international show and I had a little break and there was the same time an international show jumping, I went there to look instead of my competitors in the dressage. Strangely enough, but it was always been my interest. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what was the highlight of your career as an athlete?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I don't know. No. In a way, I'm not quite a competitor for competing, you know. A highlight would be my first Grand Prix horse that I put myself in Grand Prix from zero.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. So if I can say I buy a horse of 3 years old and I put it to Grand Prix myself, that's a highlight for me. But if I go to the European Championships and I have there a good place, a good performance, that's not a highlight for me, you know?
Okay, yeah.
You understand, eh? So for me, the competition, sometimes it's interesting, but it's not my life.
Okay. I'm going to be honest, I've seen most of the videos and the photos that you sent me.
Yeah.
So I fairly know exactly what they are, but I don't actually remember all of them. Have you sent me a picture or a video of you riding?
Yeah. But I have not so many videos of myself, you know. Also, in the days that I rode my shows and everything, it was not normal at that moment that you have a video camera, you know. Yep. That didn't exist, huh? There were no cell phones, there was no videos, no phones that can take a video. And then the videos that I have now, I don't let myself... that's a photograph of me when I was a young rider in the European. Yeah.
See, I knew I had something.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And why did you exactly stop competing? I know that there's a message that you sent me in one of the pictures saying that that's why you quit the dressage on the top level.
Yeah, well, the way that everything was in the evolution about around 1995, after with the people that was changing the way to school horses with the roll cure, you know, the hyperflexion, yeah, like this exactly. So for me, this is not done.
Yep.
Okay, this is not done for me. And if you need to ride your horses and school your horses, yeah, to get points, you know, to keep on going, yeah, then for me it stops. That's not my nature to school horses in this way. It's against my nature. This is not done.
Okay. And why? Well, how did you migrate from top dressage rider, international shows, all of that, to help people with their flat work? And more than that, how did you manage to get on the show on the show jumping side? You know, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, when one moment, it was about maybe 15 years ago, because time flies. I had a rider which was Evelyn Blaton from Belgium. Maybe you know the name Evelyn Blaton. And her girl, her daughter, she rode pony, and she needed a dressage rider, a dressage trainer. But when I started training her, she was next to me. She was standing next to me, and she said, "Jan, you teach in a different way than other dressage trainers. So it's interesting. Can you help me?" She said, "Because this is different. You know, you pay attention on different points of the training." And I said to myself, "Yeah, she's already a rider. She competed in the Olympics in Montreal. What can I teach her now?" But then she was at that moment not competing anymore. And then along we go, we train. She introduced me more and more into the jumping world. And then the next guy was Philippe Lejeune, that I was training for the Olympics, before the Olympics from London. And then Jos Lansing came along, and then the Philippats came along, and Rick Hemmerich came along. You know, all those riders, they get the phone and they try to contact me to train them also, to make the horses more gymnastic. And that's how I started to specialize a little bit to the flat work for the jumping. It's different than the normal dressage.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. What is the line? Where do you cross the line between what is a dressage and what is a good flat work for show jumping? Where is that line held?
Well, the basic work is the same, huh? The first 2-3 years it's the same, huh? And then you make your choice, huh? You start a little bit specializing between the second and the third year, already a little bit, but normally for the 3 disciplines, the eventing, the dressage, the jumping, it's the same, huh? It should be like that, huh? So it's just more the movement of the jumping flat work, it's more open, more forward. You don't go that far in the collection, but you still can do the same exercises for jumping horses as you do for Grand Prix horses dressage. That's what I do also to my horses. I let them do flying changes, the more stride flying changes, you know, the pirouettes in the canter, you know, the half passes in the canter, even a little bit little passage, a little bit piaffe. You can a little bit play, yeah, just to gymnasticate your horse and to make it better, but not that far collected as you should do for a show in the dressage.
Very good. I believe it was Nelson Pessoa. I was interviewing him the other day, and then he actually said that a good Grand Prix horse should be able to do at least a St. George on the dressage. Absolutely. It should be at least that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm convinced. Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm convinced that normally the riders that are competing international jumping should be able to ride a dressage test M niveau. You know, M level.
Yep.
For sure. Because sometimes in my training, I take my things, my letters, from a dressage arena and I dictate a dressage test. And then it's fun, you know. Then the jumping riders, they realize that it's not so easy.
Yep.
To be precise on the spot, you know. And that's interesting. Okay. That's something it's a point of considering.
Of course, everything changed, and it probably to the better side, because you had so much success and so many riders reaching up to you. But what do you believe it's the biggest change you make on a horse once working with him? Like, what is the biggest difference? If it's on the result, if it's on the show, if it's on the daily basis, if it just gets more simple, what do you believe it's the best outcome or out of your work on the show jumping horses?
They get relaxed. That's a simple thing. They get so relaxed and they know you inside out. It's like, I compare it like a big dog, you know.
All right. Yep.
When you train really good with a really big friend, you know, that's for me.
Yes.
Then you can ask everything. They have total confidence. If you do whatever you want to do, you know, if you do an eventing test or a jumping test, a dressage test, you go to the woods, you go into the city, you know, everything is confidence and they get relaxed. They trust you 100%, 200%. And for me, that's the change at the end. That they rely on you.
Very good. One thing, Jan, and I was really impressed when I asked you to send me some of your material. I'm going to ask some, because at some point you started getting excited and sending me more and more and more. Like, okay,
yeah. That's how
I don't know how to use all of that and how to put all of that on an interesting way. But one thing that you said, and it really hit me, do you study a lot?
A lot. It never stops. I don't sleep much and it never stops. It should be like that. If you are a professional, you should be really admitted to your job, you know. You should want to know everything. And that's total, you know. Yeah, I study a lot.
Very good. But that's something that, at least in Brazil, of course, in Brazil, we don't actually have this kind of content. You don't have the books. You don't have everyone studies on the horse. You know what I mean? Like, they learn from the doing and not from the reading.
Yeah, it's like a long time ago in the past, 16th century, 17th century, it was like that also. Huh? There were no books. Huh? They started writing books a little bit at that moment, but before, people, they didn't have internet, they didn't have phones, no television, nothing, no electricity. So they lived 24 hours a day, 7 on 7 with a horse. So for me, it's also good when people in Brazil, they work like that. Why not? It must be interesting.
Yeah, I must be honest. I like a lot, and I haven't found a good material to read on Portuguese. Of course, I've seen in English. And it's a little bit like driving a car. Like they say, okay, you press on the to change the gear. You have to do that, and then you go on the horse and try to do it to see if it works. Because that's.
But you should read. You should read Nuno Oliveira. You know Nuno Oliveira.
Yes.
That's one of the best writers ever, and teachers and schoolers, and I think it's Portuguese, no? So
I think so. Yes.
It may be interesting for you. It's a guy who was teaching also a lot of famous writers, the last century.
But do you believe that the theory of things are as important as the practice?
Well, I'm first of all more practical, and then at the background you're going to read a little bit about what you did or what you have experienced, you know. Like that I work more. I don't try to read something and then I try to work it out on the horse that day.
Yep.
So I think best that you first, these are things, one of my books also. This is more the way a horse is functioning. Yeah. You can see that now in the screen. Hello?
Can you? No, I'm seeing. Can you explain that?
Sorry, I'm not used to this. You know,
No problem.
André Frère, one of
Yeah.
also my best students now at this moment. Thanks to him, I'm on this social media because I'm not
Very good.
quite familiar with social media. Also, because it's one of the reasons I'm not quite sure that it's okay, but I have to learn it also.
No, it's
But
fine.
these things, it's really important that you know how the body of a horse works, how it's mobilizing, the structure of a horse, the anatomy of a horse. You need to know that if you are a professional, for sure.
Because that's the thing. Sure. I'm gonna put some things on the screen, and I would like you to explain it.
I shall try.
What it is, on what is the idea. Some of them you wrote to me when you sent on the WhatsApp, but these messages don't come along when I put them here. So you have to re-explain it. So we'll go a little bit about on your work. So I believe there's some photos of just anatomy.
Yeah. These are just the muscles of the neck and the shoulders, just to show where the vertebral of the neck is. People think sometimes that the vertebral is a bit higher also. It's attached on the upper arm there, you know. Right. So, but for me, it's one of the things that is important, that you know your anatomy, because everything starts in the jaw of a horse. When the horse needs to give in the jaw and in the mouth, the horse needs to be able to swallow. And when the horse is swallowing, the tongue is going up and down. So, and then it starts to decontract the mouth and the neck. And then your aids, when you close a little bit your hand, it's passing through the hind leg, through the body. But if you don't know your anatomy, and when you don't know how everything is functioning, how do you go to school your horse? Then you start already a little bit in a difficult way. That's why I'm convinced that you need to have a basic knowledge of those things.
All right.
That's why I send you these things, you know.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you rather work with young horses or Grand Prix horses?
I do everything. I do from young to old, but now it's more older. I start from 4 years about. First year, 3 to 4, it's less for me, you know. So, yeah. But if they want, I help.
Yep, absolutely. There are some. I think that's. I'm not sure if I can resize it.
This is a picture. When you see, this is a picture. What happens when a horse is collecting? That the hind leg, the hips, and the hind behind, you know, that is descending and it's taking an angle, that it starts to sit. And then in the neck, the first 2 vertebrals, that's the neck, that has to be loose also. And then of course the gland behind the neck, because I tell you this because it's really important, because there are so few riders that knows that. And I take this liberty to tell the people that maybe it's interesting to know that the gland just behind the jaw needs to get loose. Die Ganassenfreiheit, so in German, that needs to get loose. There is, for me, not enough people that describe it in the magazines. There is no knowledge about it, not enough for me. So I take this opportunity to tell the people, please, in the name of the good for the horse, take care of that moment of schooling a horse to make it loose in the first part after the jaw. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm gonna say just that because the images are not going full screen, so you don't actually see the whole thing. I'm gonna post them after the interview on my stories, and I'm gonna ask you to send me through WhatsApp the name of the books.
Oh, okay.
So I can give the suggestions to people
that. Why not?
This is side work.
Yeah, this is just to show which muscle and what is happening when you do a half pass in trot. When you put like a leg yielding, when you put a horse to the side and a lateral movement, it's just a little drawing, you know, a little movement that you can see which muscle is working, functioning when the horse is closing the front leg or opening the front legs when you do a half pass or a leg yielding. So
very good.
it's just to let you know. That's why I sent you those photos and those pictures and as background material to let you know how I approach the work that I do when I work with horses. I analyze everything.
I was worried about how we are going to explain to people what do you do, if not on specific questions. You know what I mean? Like, okay, what does he have to tell if I cannot show what you're talking about? It gets a little bit clumsy on the mind. So I have a few other photos that there's one that I particularly liked, and there's the halt. Right? Oh, it's not. It's again, it's not.
Yeah, like now, I took that picture. I take a lot of picture when I school and I teach. So to show the riders that I help and I train, to show them now what you feel now, it's looking like this. To know, so they remember how it's feeling when the horse is closing the hind leg in a halt, like this. Now, what you see here, you see the hind leg is under the body, and it's in the line of the tail. You can see, so the two hind legs are under the body from the horse. Okay.
Very good.
And this is how it should be. It's a jumping horse. It's no dressage horse. Let's say this is a jumping horse of a junior.
Very good.
So
there's an image that you sent me that I believed there's a lot of explaining to do. You said that's how you prove a horse has done a good job.
Yeah, like now, look, this, you can see how the abdominals are wet from transpiration. Because the horse is on 4 legs. It's a different function that the abdominals have as us. For us, we are on 2 legs. So, but the abdominals of a horse is a muscle to move the horse, to put the hind leg more under. So when you did a good job, the area that you see here in the picture, where the hind leg is touching, is getting onto the belly, and it's all wet, that means that the horse had carried himself. So that's a sign. When you get off your horse and you see in that area, it's wet, I think you did not so bad job already. That's why I sent it to you. Yeah.
Very, very good. There's a video that you sent me. I can't remember which one is exactly, but you might be able to explain it. Yep.
So this is me. This is me that is riding. And I do just a little exercise on the circle. Well, it was, by the way, the first time that horse did that also, this exercise. And it's just, everything starts with a turn. Everything starts in the circle. Because the horse has to be centrated around the leg. And that's how you can get it into the balance. That's how everything starts for the decontraction. You put the shoulders in the front, you make it straight, and then you play a little bit. You make the circle bigger, you make the circle smaller, then a little flying change above the cross in the middle. You see, it's just playing around, playful, that you see here. By the way, this horse jumped Olympics in Rio.
All right. Which horse is that?
I was training at that moment, that horse for the Olympics in Rio. It was the winter before.
Whose horse is that?
It's for Spain. It's Gribouille from, I don't know any more than, I'm sorry, sometimes my name, I have so many names. I'm really sorry, really, really sorry. For sure it's coming, for sure it's coming. People that knows me, they know that I have difficult sometimes with names. Okay.
Very good. There's also another video. I believe that's. I'm not sure.
This is this is Frédéric Vernaat from Tielemans Stables with Dieu Merci, and he's showing how do you have to pass the bars on the floor, the cavalettes. You see the horse is carrying himself completely loose of the hand. The neck is long. The nose is on the vertical. You see. It's really loose through the body. This is Dieu Merci stallion that we trained for about 3-4 years.
Do you usually, that's the image as well. Do you usually work a lot with cavalettes and poles and this kind of thing?
Yeah. First of all, the basic stuff needs to be there already without that. And then that's the link between the dressage on the flat and the jumping. You start by bars on the floor. And even when you have a horse older, And with a big problem, for instance, you go all the way back to the basic work, and you try to start back with flat work and bars and poles and little jumps, and that's how I work. Yeah.
Fantastic. Lizzie is asking if it's Rebol du Lis.
Yeah.
From Pilar Lucrecia Gordon.
Yeah, sorry, from Pilar. I'm sorry,
Very
Pilar.
good.
If you hear me now, I'm truly sorry.
No problem at all. It's just and what is that?
That is one of the home riders at Philippides, and he's showing here a little exercise, a gymnastic line. It's Stijn Timmermans, a rider that also had jumped for me personally also, and he was later on working for Philippides and still now. And
Very
this
good.
is just a little line of gymnastic, just to show also that everything needs to be normal for a horse, you know. These things is normal. That's
the question. Do you decide what was the line of the gymnastics going to happen, or do they have set it up and you just help it to so the riders can go through them?
Oh, that can be both. That can be both. I can start up. They can start up. I follow. That can be both.
All right.
But I will not allow that they are giving things that where the horse is not ready. It's not ready. Then I will say no. Then I will say no. No.
Fantastic. So, what is that?
This is just loose riding on the grass, getting started. Just a little bit loose riding, warming up in the nature, a little bit on the grass area. That's like that. Also junior at that time.
Very good. Yeah. There is also an image that I found quite interesting. Oh, it's not showing.
This is a picture I probably, when you get more in focus, it's for sure it's an injury of a bridle that is not.
You guys cannot see it. I believe that there's a white spot behind the horse ear.
Yeah. So that I sent for you to make sure that people really look behind the ears, everything, that the bridle is not making some injuries, you know.
Yep.
For the horse, everything needs to fit a bit looser, because sometimes they speak about now these days anatomic equipment, everything, fancy words and everything, but sometimes it's making the horses even a bit more less able to use the ear to listen, and then you have injuries, and then you get white hair on spot from agent injuries. That's why I showed you that. Everything counts.
Yeah. That was another question. Do you work a lot on lunging?
Yes, of course. This needs to be a support in your normal work. Yeah. This is a horse. It's 5 years old at that moment. Yeah.
Do you usually work them like twice in a day or once in a day?
It's depending. It's depending. If you have a really complicated horse, it may be even 3 times.
Okay, yep.
It's depending. Also, when you ride your school horses for dressage and you have something with an issue, you can ride 2 times 15 minutes. And when the horse is understanding something, you ask it again in the afternoon. For me, everything is possible. Yeah.
All right. Jan, of course, you worked with a lot of top riders, and that's well, they're supposed to be really good in what they do and to listen to you. But what do you believe it's the most common mistake that the show jumpers do on their flat work or on their horses?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I need to be careful what I'm going to say. Maybe so.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to use names. No, you don't have to point anyone.
First of all, what I will try to explain, that you don't get up your horse to say, now you're going to listen to me. Now you come to me and you're going to listen to me. That's something that you don't do. No, whatever discipline you are, and that you see a lot sometimes on shows and everything. They take everything for granted. They go to work the horse, and the first thing that they do now these days is pick up the phone, and they walk around with their phone in the hand when they sit on their horse. So I have some questions about those things, you know.
All right.
You first start to listen to your horse. How is the horse feeling today? Start to listen by that,
Right.
You understand? It's a difficult question, I think. It's a bit,
I'm going to try a different one then. What do you believe it's the best step you give to have someone that have a really anxious horse?
A lot of walking in the woods, taking promenades. I don't know the word that I can use. Getting out a few times a day. Try to work maybe on the hand work, long rein.
All right.
Walking on the hand, things like that. A lot in the field. Not closing 24 hours a day in the box. Getting out a few times a day, those things. And give it time. Give it time. Sometimes you need to, when you have a really anxious horse, give it 1 year more.
Okay.
Maybe. Things like that, I would say. I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult these days. So.
All right. Well, that is going to the water.
Yeah.
And you explained that that's about, what is that about? What do you believe it's important for the horse to, do this kind of thing?
To swim. Well, it can be, this is a, this is a horse that's going to swim. It's just to make it more relaxed, more decontraction in the movement and the looseness of the body in every step, the looseness of the body in the back muscles. So a few weeks later, this horse came back and it was much cooler, much nicer in the body, less stressed.
All right.
Also, again, I put this picture just to show people really, please study the way your horses are moving to make it more easy to understand why some things don't get right and happen not right, That's why I showed you that picture.
That's you lunging, I believe?
No, this is one of my I have only good students. This is one of the good students also. He's lunging. I'm learning him to lunge with a double lunge.
Okay.
This was also the first time that stallion was lunging for the first time with 2 lunges. And this stallion, it's not quite an easy stallion. But these things I do also to get a better connection with the horse.
Okay.
This horse used to be a dangerous one.
Why do you use 2 lunges? What's the point on it?
You can train much better then. You can tell the horse what to do. You can use the second lunge that is passing behind the hind leg to engage more the hind leg. You can steer, you can turn to the left, you can turn to the right, you can make transitions. You can do quite a lot. And that's a step to the long rein for me. That you can work behind the horse with long rein. I think every horse, what discipline you also have, may be able to do some long rein work. Double lunging, everything. Just to get it more in confidence of you and your rider, that you have a team. You need to be getting a team with your horse and not sitting on top of your horse and tell him what to do for you because you're the boss.
Very good. What is that? That is, I believe, a show jumping training with a junior, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. This is at Peter de Vos' place, and it's the rider who is taking care of Peter's horses, the first horses of Peter, and she's showing here the center line, and you can see the horse. Right. You can see only 2 legs, so that means that the horse is straight. You look when you see the video. I can see it now. Yep. Most of the time you see only 2 legs, so that means the shoulder is a little bit in front of the hind leg and is the horse straight. Because the shoulders are smaller than the hind legs, you need to get the horse a little bit inclinated around the leg to have it straight. So
very, very good.
Yeah.
We have what is that?
This is, I give sometimes clinics in Italy, and this was a horse that was not so easy to turn on the right side. So I learned the rider to turn. Every stride of the gallop needs to turn. So the rider needs to feel on a little vault that the horse feels every stride the same. And at the end of the lesson, the horse turned simply to the right without problem.
Very good. I believe that's the same horse.
It's possible. No, I don't think so. This is a different one, I think. Huh?
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was once I've put online that I was going to interview you, and that's just because you talked about the clinics. People in Brazil start asking if you would ever come to Brazil, if you could manage to do a clinic here.
Yeah, why not?
And all of that. And I say, okay, I'll ask him eventually and see if we can organize that.
Yeah, for sure. I had the brother of what's his name again? Nando de Miranda. You know, from.
Yep, from Doda.
Doda. Yeah. They already had asked me those things also. Yeah.
Very good. What is that? Well, that's just a little training, I believe.
Yeah, so this is interesting also. This horse had really a problem when I started 1 month before. It was running. So I do a little training round there myself with that horse. I start training him on the flat. I made him more relaxed. And then I want to see myself, how is the horse changing when I do a little jump myself? Because there is a gap. I found out many years ago when I started training jumping riders on dressage. They came back from the show and they said, oh, I felt this and that. This is not good. This is not good. And I thought by myself, there is something wrong. I missed something. And the thing is that horses in jumping, the jumping horses, they are so focused on the jump that sometimes they change their flat work by jumping over a fence.
All right.
So I started jumping myself. Before I didn't jump, never.
Yep.
Never. So that's how I'm able to feel how the horse is feeling now after a few months flat work, that we restarted jumping and then we school it back. This horse, it's about 9-10 years with a lot of tension when he was jumping, some problems, and now he's back to normal. So,
very good. I believe that's...
Yeah, also the same. This horse also the same. There was also a horse which came in there at this place. A lot of tension. Was lost. Was a bit angry on the rider. So I did some flat work. I did some double lunging. I did some long rein. And then this was my first gymnastic line with that horse when we restarted the jumping. And now he's back jumping. The class is 145, I believe. So he's back on track now. Yeah.
Very good. Do you usually get a call when people are in trouble, or do you have some clients that are just want to learn more?
Well, both. I have the luck that I have really a good team of young riders coming up, and that those riders, they're not quite eager to have the results in the big shows, but they first want to ride and school their horses in a good way. So I'm feeling very lucky that I have around me some really good young riders who are coming up, juniors, young riders, and I try to follow. I make them as best as possible. And then sometimes it happens that there is somebody who's calling me that there is a problem, but it's rare. It's rare. It's coming. Yeah, sometimes it can happen, but it's not so often that the people call me, I have a problem. So,
okay.
Yeah.
What do you believe is the most important quality on a rider to become a top sport rider?
He has to be honest, respectful, devoted, and he has to learn every day again and again and again. The will to learn, the will to school yourself, the discipline you have, those things, especially the respect for the animal. That's the first for me.
Very good.
You
worked... Sorry, go on.
No. To keep your feet on the ground.
All right, fantastic. You've worked with top horses, I believe, some of the most important horses in the world.
More famous than I am.
What do you think?
Sure. I had already many horses schooled, but they're more famous than me. Yeah, so It's the first time that I have somebody asking me to do things like you now here. So
very good then.
okay.
Well, I believe you work with Kumano then. You said that Jos came up to you.
Yeah, no, with Kumano, no, but the mare after that, the mare that he took on London. Yeah.
Very good.
I forgot already the name of the horse also. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I don't remember either, and someone will type it a little bit.
Yeah.
But the question behind that is, what do you think is the most important quality on a horse? Have you seen it all? You've seen all the top horses, and what do you believe is the most important trait all of them has got so that they can become a top horse?
Yeah. First of all, they need to have enough blood, but not the crazy blood. The crazy blood, because now these days you see too many horses with good quality on the jump, but too crazy in the head to school. So they go to the show and they jump as high as you can imagine and easy. But now these days they breed the horses too crazy, too difficult in the head, too spooky. And these things, that's too much. So they need to have blood and a good building, a good type of muscle, good elasticity, you know, a good rhythm, a natural rhythm, of course, a natural balance, of course, a good gallop, those things, good walk. The trot is less important, but those things, that's the character needs to be normal and not like now they breed too much horses, too complicated for me, when I may say that. So
very good. Of course, you just said that the walk is really important and the trot not so much. Do you believe there's some things in the horse that you cannot change or you cannot develop?
Yeah, when you have a horse that is disuniting behind in the gallop, for instance, sometimes it's happening too often, then for sure you have a problem. Those things, yeah. So that means that when you take a jump and it's not right landing in a good canter, but always in a cross canter, that's a big problem for me. So if I can give that as an answer, but for the rest, normally, yeah. If you have a good balance and a good rhythm and everything like that, and good hind leg and everything, then a lot is possible.
Great. What do you think? I forgot the question, but I will remember that one soon. So I'll go for another one. Can you tell us a really successful scenario that you've worked on? It doesn't have to be one.
Yeah, well,
it can be more than one, but it's just one example.
I have so many horses already put on a good level. Also horses that were really messed up, that we saved, you know, in a way. So, but it's difficult. But the horse that we showed just now with the bars on the floor, like Dieu Merci, from Frédéric Vernat, from the stable Tinneman. We built it up from 4 years old, I believe, or something. And look, he was well at the Fast Stars last year, and then it was sold. But I have so many horses. I cannot immediately say this or that, or I should shame. I should forget people, and I'm ashamed of myself if I say or I forget those things. You know, I'm not quite feeling comfortable when I forget people.
No problem. I understand if you don't want to give one answer, because again, you worked with so many good riders.
Yeah, that's true.
Was there ever one special horse that you actually touched you and still do when you think about it? It can be yours from when you're riding. It can be a horse that you worked on.
Yeah, well, my first Grand Prix horse, that was a horse was not even 3 years old when we bought it, and it was on the market to go to the slaughterhouse.
Okay.
And my parents bought it for €1,000. And 7-8 years later, they offered me a blanco check to buy it. That's rather a special story, yeah. But I didn't want to sell it because I was not finished with the horse. I said to the people, I'm sorry, I don't want to sell it because I'm not still finished. At that moment, I still wanted to learn with that horse. It was my first Grand Prix horse, so that's something special also.
It is fantastic. Very good.
Yeah.
Jan, what is your, or what do you advise as, I would say, I know it can be different every day, but what is your usually daily routine for a horse? How do you work that, like warm them up? How long do you work? I think that's the question that someone sent me. Say, what would be a good basic warm-up for a show jumper, for a young and an older horse?
Just the looseness, make him loose, make him warm up. A good long walk. I walk until the horse starts to blow. You know, I cannot maybe show it here, but you know, the horse is typically blow. Yeah, that's my point. I wait until the horse is doing this. That is already a sign that the horse feels comfortable of the situation.
All right, yep.
That can take 10 minutes already, So,
yep.
Okay. And then later, if the horse feels more comfortable in the gallop, why not gallop? But first, you trot a little bit because you can see only in the trot that the horse is lame or not. So first, you do a few rounds trot. If the horse is good, I prefer to get him loose in the gallop. More galloping than trotting in the looseness. And then you start working. So let's say at the end, 20 minutes, some work. The last 5 minutes, 25 minutes, a little bit stronger, between 5 and 10. And then you do the cooling down. Again, the same thing as you started up. The looseness, the balance. Loose of the hand, on the own feet, you know. It starts by that for me.
Very good.
Just routine.
That is a cool question. I don't actually know really good for the answers, but what do you think of the gadgets? I believe it's this auxiliary reins.
Yeah. The gadgets for training horses.
I think so, yeah. I think the German reins, I'm not sure what their names are in English.
Yeah, but yeah, there you have a point, people that knows me. There you get something that I'm really angry on. That's that point of German drawing. So those things for me, it's not done. So for me, the less gadgets, the better it is. Sometimes you need an extra pair of reins to make a point a little bit, to pass a point. But you need to be always thinking about, at the end, you need to school your horse to be able to ride your horse with a simple snaffle. Even your Grand Prix horse.
All right.
That you need to think. If you use like a blocking bit or a special bit to pass a point that the horse is too complicated, is running different or something, you can use that for a moment, but it may be the step you need to take to get normal. Always think about that.
All right.
Don't stay by using it all the time. That's what I mean. Think always, when you start schooling your horse, you have to finish your horse by a simple bit. Simple, normal snaffle.
Very good. Very, very, very good. Just before she kills me, Jules Vermich is saying, hi,
that's a junior.
You're amazing, etc., etc., etc. So, there is a question that's asking for you if the height of the horses matter for jumping.
I don't think so. If you see Japelou from Pierre Durand, I don't know anymore. So the black one was a small horse. I think just with the fences, the height they have now, it's maybe a little bit more practical to have a higher horse. I don't know. It looks less scary, I think, when you sit on a horse with a height of 170 than 160. I think
maybe,
maybe it's not a good answer, but I think practical.
It's all right. One thing, someone from Ekibes Riding Boots saying that, hi, how can I contact Jan? I believe you can contact him through this Instagram account. Just send a message over there, and then he eventually will get it.
Yeah.
So don't you guys worry. One question that's a little bit funny.
Yeah.
How can you put a horse? I will try to translate it, but it's quicker on your legs.
I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? A little bit more answering your aids a little bit better.
More reactive. More reactive.
Yeah, that's the one. Reactive. That's a good word.
Yeah. Well, there are several things that you can do. It's just to know when you need to have the horse more reactive. So that's the second question that you have to ask yourself. I don't know the person that asked me that question, but if you want to have it more electric, you can do several exercises. To start by simple, to go from walk to canter, or to go backwards and from backwards to canter, or from backwards to trot. And you need to ask it only once to go. You'll need to learn your horse to go only asking one time. You push one time and he needs to start in the gaits which you want to have. So when you want to go to gallop, you squeeze once and he needs to start the moment that you squeeze. As simple as that. And then you have already a hind leg which is more reactive.
And if it doesn't, what do you do?
Then you repeat the question, you push once more time, and you give a little touch with the whip.
Okay. Yep.
And the moment that you touch with your whip, you go at the same time a bit forward with the hand that holds the whip. Never close or block the hand when you touch the horse with your whip, or never touch the horse with the whip without your leg, because the horse is not knowing why you touch it with the whip. It's going to react, but not in a good way. It's reinforcement of the aids of your leg, the whip. It's an instrument. It's an instrument to help your horse. It's not to punish her.
Very good. Very good. Yeah,
I hope so.
Great. Yep. I believe that's fantastic. Jan, we are almost down to the end of our time. We have about 3 minutes.
It's a shame.
It goes as fast as you can imagine.
I start to like it even now. So.
I'm sure if you're up to it, I'm gonna think about something for us to do a little bit different than that. But I believe it can be quite interesting. But I will think about it. I'll contact you and we'll see what we can do. Okay?
I will just give one advice to the people: keep everything simple and logical.
That was gonna be my next question. What is your big advice for all of us?
When you train your horse, keep it simple. And when you and always think about when there is a fault coming up, what am I doing wrong and what can I do about it? Okay, and not say, oh, what a stupid horse. Ask yourself, first question is, what am I doing wrong? And then the answer has to be logical and simple. No difficult stuff. That's something that you really need to know as a when you get up your horse, keep it simple and logical. And not special bits, special training, I don't know what. A horse is a horse. It's just getting better now because some horses are better breeding, The breeding gets better, but the way a horse is moving, it's still the same way as 2,000 years ago. It's still the same horse. Keep it simple. Okay.
Fantastic.
So. Nice to meet you, huh?
It was a pleasure. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I believe there's a lot of good insights for people to think about it.
I have so many things in my head. I want to say everything at the same time, but it's too complicated. Huh?
No, we will manage. Yeah. We will manage to do it once again if you're up to it. We'll think a little bit better and do another round if you're okay.
And also love your horses. It's not a thing, It's not a bicycle. It's not a car. It's an animal, That I want to say also to the people who are listening. I think they are listening now, no?
Yep. Yeah.
So because I don't know the media, social media. Sorry, yeah.
They are listening.
A different world, huh? Okay.
Very good. Jan, thank you very much for your time. We will be in touch, and I will think of something else.
Okay.
It was a pleasure, and I hope you have a great night. And talk to you soon.
Same to you, huh?
All right.
Bye.
Thank you everyone that watched it. Bye.
Bye.
I will keep in touch.
Bye.